thank you so much for joining us today for our Meet the Agent series. Today we'll be speaking with Diane Terry, an expert realtor out of Texas who's been working with Set Schedule. And so the purpose of this series today is to connect with agents who are having success to see how they have found that success, how they build their business in different areas of the U.S., and then also to get some insight into the challenges and triumphs you've experienced using the Set Schedule application. So I wanted to first introduce Diane Terry, and again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to make yourself available to speak with us.
Certainly. Thank you for having me, Alexa.
Oh, of course. So first, I just wanted to get some background into you specifically and how it is that you got into real estate. So tell us a little bit about yourself, specifically to start with. What area in Texas do you service?
I started in North Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area specifically. I was 17 years old when I got into development, actually. It was a developer that I worked with on a co-op in high school, started doing the accounting and seeing how development works, how the utilities are put in and the streets are put in and how builders think. It was a custom home builder that I worked for in addition to a developer, and began to fall in love with the industry. And just a short time later, I started in Dallas at Bum Bright's company, STM Mortgage. There I began to learn all of the secondary marketing, and it was there where I learned how financials work, how the pools, the Fannie Mae pools work, and how they do the selling of paper, mortgage paper on the secondary market. I learned the back end of it, how servicing is done and escrows and appraisals, and began moving into the closing area and really fell in love with that. I, at a very young age, became a manager over 13 banks in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for the closing departments, and moved from there to quality control and was over 5 states region. Always wanted to be a real estate agent. Began my schooling in the early 80s. I went through a divorce and had to stop, and continued to manage, running closing departments and things. I worked for Fleet Mortgage and closed multi-million dollars worth of business. Finally met my wonderful husband and was able to finish my real estate career. Went with #1 Century 21 office in the nation, in the world actually, and moved up quickly in the ranks there. Partnered with one of my agents who used to send me business, and we are still very good friends. Although I got out of the industry when the stock market crashed, and my children called me and said, "Mom, we want to get in the real estate in the real estate industry." So they pulled me back in, and now I am leaving them a legacy. I'm showing them the ropes, and the things that they're going to have to overcome is the fact that it is really hard work, and you have to love people. If you don't love people, then you're not going to be able to get that connection, because they can tell. People can tell when you genuinely put them before your paycheck. Set Schedule has helped me because they bring multitudes of opportunities to me on a daily basis. I have Lion Desk, which is my CRM. It's a management relationship program, and I'm in the process of integrating it along with Set Schedule so that it automatically goes right into there, and then I can get follow-up quickly. I currently work for one of my dear friends who was also at Century 21 at the time that I was there before, and I love the way he treats his customers. I love the way he does business. He puts people first as well, and that was a whole new beginning for us. So the kids are excited about it. They're in the process of getting their licensing. There have been other people that have jumped on board as well. So we have a team. Some of the people are beginning to give me ideas that are seasoning and beginning to get this to gel. Next Home Integrity Group is our company out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. My broker was recently a broker over that and another next home company that didn't have a broker. They're in Dallas, in Plano actually. And so it's a new company in the national realm. They seem to be making a lot of headway. They were named top 10 for the business cards that they have, it's a really nice heavy duty polished card. They have some new luxury homes that are coming out. They're going to unveil our new plan very soon. We're excited about it. And I'm biting at the bit. I want to jump on that like a dog on a bone. And so when it comes out, I'm going to be putting all of my effort into it to see if I can gain some traction for the kids, of course. I want to leave my legacy for them. I'd like to work in the background and begin to help them to overcome issues because of the problems that I've been faced throughout my whole life in the industry. I think I can help them to help other people. You were asking about how I integrate set schedule into my daily business plan. One of the things that you actually have to do, not just caring for people, but you want the people that love you the most to bring you business. And you want to move people into that inner circle. So what I do is every time I have a set schedule lead, which could be anywhere in the North Texas or Southern Oklahoma region, because I'm on both sides of the Red River, I begin to, it doesn't take long to find out what people need if you have genuine concerns. If you, sometimes people will say that they're a buyer and they may be a seller. Some people will respond to set schedule and they will tell you right up front, I'm not interested. Don't throw those away. Those are actually valid leads. They are not going to give away their information up front. They want to see someone who's persistent enough and that cares enough to come back to them. So if they push you away, you have to be strong enough to say, I get that. I would do the same thing. They don't know me. The bad guys and the good guys look the same. You have to prove that you're a good guy. And it takes time to do that. You have to keep coming back and saying, hey, I'm just checking in on you. How's whatever circumstance going on? If there's any changes, don't forget I'm here if you have questions. I know that you may have questions when you hang up the phone. Don't feel pressured. Just reach out to me at your convenience. I'll respond, and without any pressure as well. I'll try to always give you options so you won't feel cornered. Those are things that people love to hear. They want to be in control of their own decisions, and they've been cornered too much in this world. And that's one of the biggest obstacles that we have to overcome, is that people are wounded out there. They need guidance in a safe haven. And that's what I want to provide for our customers and teach my children to do the same.
Great. That's awesome. And so when you are speaking with or how you were saying that you're training your kids and teaching them the ropes, and even yourself, how do you deal with that, in an industry that's as brutal as real estate is, where you inevitably are going to face more no's than you get yeses typically? How do you, even just on a personal level, how do you keep your spirits high? How do you keep waking up each morning to do it again?
Each morning when I wake up, if I have a difficult day the day before, the main thing I tell myself is that it's not personal. The other thing I tell myself is that the people that I'm working with, other agents, that's just as important as a customer. When you're working with other agents, it's so important that you try to keep them looking good as well. We look better together as a profession if we are not putting one another down. I've noticed throughout these last decades that there are some that need their ego brushed. That's not a bad thing. It just means that they need affirmation. So find something. We can always find something good to say about someone else. And I think that is where it begins. If you happen to sell a home that has been difficult selling, go back to those agents who have missed those opportunities and let them know how that you appreciated their input into the end result, because everything can't be perfect. Sometimes sellers have to be prepared for maybe a market that they're just not open to up front. And sometimes agents have to go down that road with them. And that road sometimes makes you the bad guy. And it's nice when somebody comes along and says, hey, thank you for getting them prepared for the real market. And I get it. And thank you for your help. It doesn't hurt to send them a gift certificate or take them out to dinner, visit with the local brokers and cooperate with open houses together in the same location. It is territorial. However, there's enough business out there for all of us. We can make it together.
Okay, that's beautiful. So it sounds like your real estate, your professional community is just as important to servicing your clients as it is to getting a sphere of influence or your book of business developed.
As important, however, as important. Your paycheck comes in a lot of different forms, and selling a house is the easiest because you're not out. The house doesn't move. But buyers, you have to take care of buyers as well, and that means a lot of miles on the car. But yeah, it all is encompassing.
Makes sense. And so, and I know I can hear from you in the way that you're speaking that your family is very important to you. And so how do you, in an industry like this, where you do have to work so much and your, hours are going to vary between, when someone's going to need you. I'm sure a lot of your clients that you're working with have their own day jobs. So they're mostly going to be working on buying or selling after hours. How do you maintain your own work life or work family balance?
I have a monthly get together with all of my loved ones who want me to be successful. And last month was pasta with peeps, and we had chicken Alfredo and spaghetti and just desserts and lots of fellowship. That's my thank you to people. It's difficult for me to have coffee with everyone or schedule a lunchtime with everyone because I am so busy. As a matter of fact, I miss a lot of events. So in order to give them the attention they deserve and let them know that they are important in my life and that I appreciate the referrals, I put on my monthly, I call it a grateful gathering. And next month it's going to be chicken and dumplings right while they're all out shopping for Thanksgiving stuff. And I want them to have a place to come and go as they please in between grocery shopping and have a nice hot meal and a hug. And it's just my way of having everyone come to me at a time when I can put on my monthly calendar instead of me feeling bad because I haven't met expectations by missing birthday parties. And I have a wonderful husband who takes great care of me. You really need support when you're a realtor. You need someone who takes care of your things for you and understands flexibility and can be flexible, so you can jump and run and go like for a drive to go put flyers in a box or run to check out a new listing somewhere and just say, hey honey, can you hop in the car with me? Let's just grab the Corvette and run down the road, and someone who doesn't go, oh well, great, you're going to be on the phone the whole time. So that does happen, by the way. And kids, at least now that they're adults, they understand that mom has to work. There was a time when they would stomp their feet and say, you're never available when I need you. And now they laugh about it.
And are they having that same experiences with their own children, with their own
Yes.
families?
I love it. I'm sorry. Yeah, It makes me giggle because I'm like, yep, I know that one.
I
Oh
love
my.
that. And so I know you had mentioned too that you've been in the industry in various capacities since you were, a teenager. So, and I'm sure you witnessed a ton of changes over those. Over that time, but I know too, especially in the last 5 years or 5 to 10 years, this industry has just been really plagued with a lot of uncertainties. So when you your career, or specifically in the last like 5 to 10 years, what's the biggest change or the change with the most impact that you've seen?
Everything has gone digital. It's so important that people embrace new changes. One of the things that I learned as a very young career person was that you have to embrace new things. If you fight it, you're just going to get stuck in a rut. And every time something new comes along, even if you're not an outgoing type person, it's so important that you dive right in. You click on everything. You try everything. There's nothing that you can't, well, there are some things you can't back up, but there, just jump in with both feet and start swimming, and like your life depends on it, and make mistakes, and try to, I have to get over this being on camera. I have a really hard time with that. And I realize that when people see me on camera, that they love me. And I have to learn to love myself and say, it's okay, just get over it. It's me, and they love me anyhow. So you learn to just jump.
You're
Okay.
saying that the digital change has been, or the influence of technology in the digital realm has been, the most impactful change that you've seen recently? And how has that, in like logistics and real world terms, how has that affected your business model? So what do you do differently now than what you would do, 5 years ago or 10 years ago?
I have hired someone to help me with my media.
Okay.
I've hired someone with ideas that will help me with how we can engage from a video standpoint. I also have people that my mentor, the people that in my office that are coming up with ideas. I go to conferences. I go to. I read a lot. I spend like 10 or 15 minutes in the morning to like, click, and share on all of my different media outlets. It's important. That's part of my job, is in the morning and in the evening to spend 10 to 15 minutes on my different social media outlets. I use a lot of them: LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. Uh, TikTok is a new one that I've just recently joined. There's always work to be done. You just have to pick one and work it every day and not be afraid.
So I know that you mentioned that, kind of your core specialty or what you work with are, different life challenges that people have had. But is there a one type of prospect that I mean, obviously you work with anybody, but is there one type of prospect that gets you really excited, or that you feel is just right up your alley, or your niche, your bread and butter kind of business?
Thank you for asking. I think that people like myself who need to downsize have become more my specialty, because I've been able to help them to let go of a house full of furniture. Those things are hard. People don't realize that until they start trying. There's a lot of people who need to downsize who won't, because of the things around them. And there are ways of helping yourself through those mindsets that can free you in a way that you never thought imaginable. And those are things that I bring to the table and embrace people as they're going through that. And that's a very touchy subject. You, uh, they have to decide when they're ready.
And could you talk more about what are some of those tools that you would implement or share to help people change their mindset when they're faced with, having to make a change that they may would they rather not?
There, number one, and this is a tough one. We can't take it with us when we're gone, and there that's is a real eye opener because it helps you to place value on things that really are valuable. And a lot of us are, if we could just begin to pass down the things that have been important to us to other family members, like we pass the torch on things, also pass those things. I've noticed that the my children do not like any of the things that are passed down. They're like, this is that it, they're like, no, you can keep it, but I don't want it. And it's really important to accept that and realize that people don't want your stuff. And just paying for storage or having a large house payment doesn't it doesn't serve you well. It doesn't give you the freedom. When you're hanging on to one thing, you're actually missing out on life opportunities. There is so much that life has to offer, and you want to be able to experience everything that is out there and available for you. And if you can give someone the benefit of change, then they may not accept it right away, but they'll think on it. And eventually the seed is planted and it'll help them.
This is it's resonating very deeply with me because this is a conversation that my mother had with her mother about when she was about my age, and it's a conversation that I recently had with my mother as well. And so it was the same thing when I started it. It was very touchy. Got a lot of pushback on that conversation, but now recently she started letting go and realizing that the joy of not of that things can also be a burden. There's some safety or stability into it, but they can also be a burden. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, and so I would like to transition the conversation now a little bit more into your experience specifically with Set Schedule, because that is one of the reasons that we are having you on today is because you are a premium member with Set Schedule. And so I was just kind of curious to see, there are so many different ways that you can drum up real estate leads and different companies that you can work with. So what caught your eye about Set Schedule, and what finally made you opt to partner with us?
My broker is the one that introduced me to Set Schedule. I had it on my list of things to do, and I dismissed it several times. It kept coming back, and because I had it tabbed, and I kept going back to it, and I never marked it off. And I'm like, okay, one morning I woke up and I said, okay, I've got to call him. So I called him, and I called y'all. And I was so smitten by everything that you had to offer. I appreciate the low referral fee. That's big in this world. There's nothing that comes easy. You have to work for it. So when I do get my refreshment, I want to take advantage of everything I can, my monthly meetings and refreshing my opportunities and following up on the old ones. I have a couple different other media outlets that I use for each of them. I do media, emails. I do emails, phone calls. I send them things in the mail, and I put them in categories where I know kind of when to touch base. Some of them I have archived because I know that it was like one particular was an Alzheimer's patient, and it's just not gonna work. Uh, the, the dynamics there in the family can be unusual in a lot of those circumstances, and all I can do right now is reach out to the children occasionally, but certainly not as often as you would with any other prospect. You don't want to, just all it does is reminds them of their situation. So it's a hard thing they have to go through anyhow, and they wouldn't want it any other way. But bringing attention to it was just not my thing. So,
Okay.
but I love set schedule.
Well, and I loved what you were saying too about your own experience about that it had kept coming up for you, but then you were dismissing it, and then one day, stars aligned for whatever reason, you went forward with it, because I feel like that also mirrors a lot of what the experience is for a lot of home buyers and home sellers, is that they know it's something they have to do, but it does take a while for them to, or at least a couple months, to really get into that frame of mind, to get their mind around it. So often we'll find that they are monitoring communication from realtors even though they're not engaging, and then one day they wake up and for everything just has aligned and worked together and they're ready to move forward. So I love what you're saying about that.
Vibes. That's good.
Exactly. Exactly. And so what would you say, because we do want to get a full a view of your experience, so we want to get the good, the bad, and the ugly with your experience using set schedule. What would you say has been one of the biggest challenges or an objection that you've come across a lot, like using the system, and then also how do you handle that?
My biggest objection, which I have been able to overcome, has been in the car. When I'm in the car and I get a lead, when I click on it, because it comes straight to my phone, when I click on it, I don't have a phone number to go to immediately. So I've had to train myself to, of course, wait till I'm in a safe spot and then navigate to that location where I can find the opportunity and click on it and make the phone call, because I'm in the car all the time. All realtors are. And the easiest time to talk to people and be more real with them is when you're doing a mindless activity like driving down the freeway. And for me, it's really easy to just make all of my phone calls because it's a good hour and a half from here to Dallas Fort Worth. So I can be on the road and be making my set schedule phone calls easily. And if I have them pulled up on my phone before I even get started from my driveway, it's real easy to just click, go to the next one and leave your messages. And I've learned to also begin a script. It seems to get better as you go. And I try not to make it like a set thing. In the morning when you wake up, there's certain things that are going on around you that will give you a clue as to what you need to say to these people every day. And so you just get on the phone call and start making phone calls. And it works.
And so do you have like a schedule where you devote a specific hour each day to prospecting, or a certain amount of time each week? Or do you just try to push it in or fit it in when you can for prospecting specifically?
I'm going to tell you what I do, and then I'm going to tell you what I should do. What I do is very sporadic. It's really hard for me to block out my time and do it like I should. But what I do is when I get in the car, I set it on my phone and I start making phone calls as I'm driving. What I should do is right after I get finished with my social media, like, click, and share in the morning, is hop onto my phone and plan on an hour and a half of just making phone calls and block it out. And don't check your email, don't answer a phone call, don't let any interruptions happen. Just block out that time. It's like you're in a meeting, and don't do anything except that. That's what I should do, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Well, then, and I know you said that when you take a lead or you accept a lead, that the first thing you do is give them a call. If in the instance that they don't answer, give us a feel for what your follow-up is like, what your cadence is like.
It's usually just another phone call. People typically don't answer the phone. What I like to do is research and see if the property that they're asking about is really available, number one. Usually they remember putting in that address. So if I tell them I'm calling about that property, it kind of lets them know what I'm calling about. So it will open the door. sometimes if you can, I subscribe to different like ways of getting people's telephone numbers and where their current addresses are and things like that. So I'm able to kind of search each person to see if they're real. Sometimes they're not, but there's usually a legitimate reason why they called. There's a reason why they spent their effort. They didn't do it just to keep me on the phone, not, getting hitting a brick wall. There's a reason why they were on that website. There's a reason why they were looking at that property. There's a reason why they filled that out, even if they filled it out with the wrong information. So if you can overcome those other things, then you're probably going to begin to nurture a lead.
Great. And can you tell us about an interaction that you had with a set schedule prospect where it either they might have been resistant to speaking with you right off the bat, or where you were somehow able to build a rapport or make an inroad to with a prospect that otherwise that again may not have been as open right at the beginning to speak with you?
Yes, one in particular stands out for me, and it was a dear lady who wanted to move out of the neighborhood that she was in. She was not comfortable giving me any of her information. She had been prospected to the point where she really was not happy that she even answered the phone. I was able to, I just happened to say something that connected with her, and it appealed to that part of her that was willing to be a little vulnerable and not feel like I was going to exploit her. That was a really good example of what happens. And a lot of times you don't know, you're walking into things blindly, but things will come to your mind if you'll just take that little nudge and care enough about the person to mention it. It doesn't always work that way. We get a lot of closed doors, and I would rather work with the ones that open. So I'm really okay with that. So there's been some that have called and said, hey, I had one. The mother-in-law was a realtor, and she was wanting me to get some information because her mother-in-law didn't like the house, and I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, great. You got to use your mother-in-law, but you want me to do the work. And that was okay too. I mean, I was kind. I think we've all been in situations where it's like, great. So I tried to be kind, but that was a funny one. Let's see. What was another one? I told you about the Alzheimer guy. There was investors. There's a lot of investors that get on set schedule, and they need realtors. It's not, investors can wear you out, but they also can be a very good resource for you as well. And if you embrace it and create a win-win situation where you're not working as hard, but you're willing to do a little bit for a little bit of money, then that might be a happy median for the two. And I've swung from one end of the spectrum to the other on that. And I limit myself because there are a lot of investors out there right now. But I've picked a few that I really enjoy working with, and we have come to a happy median where we both can survive. That's what it's about.
And I'm curious, when you do work with investors, is there any difference in your approach when you're working with investors who are looking to flip versus investors who are looking to hold and rent?
Yes, because the margin for the flip is tighter. They don't have the room to work with an agent. That's where you really need to create that happy medium, because they need very limited services, and you need to be willing to put a price as a real estate agent, put a price on those limited services so that it is doesn't wear you out, but it still meets their need. So there are ways to work around that as long as you're still cooperating with the National Code of Ethics and the state regulations as well.
Let's see.
They're different in different states.
Okay, and did you build any business model specifically around set schedule, or were you able to fold set schedule into your current or the business model that you had in place prior to partnering with set schedule?
Set schedule has given me an opportunity to add it to my current business plan. What I want to do is take the people that I engage in set schedule and move them into my inner circle. My inner circle is my most important. They're the ones that I have dinner for every month. They're the ones that love me. They're the ones that refer people to me. And my goal is to move everyone in set schedule into that inner circle. That's my goal. And so it gives me those, it just gives me the opportunity, because you can just go out and meet people and add them if you want to, but set schedule there's a higher percentage of those who actually will be buying or selling soon. And there's a reason why they were on the websites looking at things. So that's a better start.
I'm curious or obviously this is going to be viewed by agents who are contemplating working with set schedule and agents who might be unfamiliar with internet lead generation. And I know working internet leads can be its own beast, a lot different from working referrals or your sphere of influence. So what advice would you give to agents who are looking into internet lead generation, and specifically those agents contemplating partnering with set schedule?
You want to be able to take the ball and run with it. If you're crippled, it's not going to be easy to take the ball and run with it. Set schedule can make you very successful. But first, have your relationship management system together already. Your inner circle needs to already be set there, because if you're trying to put it together while you're bringing new leads in, it's just not going to work as easily. It can be done, but it's going to wear you out. So what I would say is have your business model set up, already have your relationship management, already have your top 10. I call them top 10. They're actually the ones that are your channel accounts that you want to move your set schedule people into that inner circle. Have those channel accounts already in place. Have your monthly mail outs to them. There's people have certain habits that you want to conform to, and you want to always stay flexible. And you're going to learn that as you pick up each individual lead. You're going to have one that prefers to be texted. You're going to have another that prefers to be getting a phone call. You're going to have one that would prefer to email you all day long and never pick up the phone. So out of all of the different leads, you're going to want to categorize those and use your relationship management system to that. So you want to have that in order first. One of the things that set schedule will do is give you success if you have those things in order. If you're stumbling around trying to get it done first, while you're doing it, it's just it's difficult.
No, I think it totally makes sense that, yeah, you have to have your plan in place for how you're going to follow up, or even, a prospect that's ready to go right away may not, could fall through the cracks that way. So I think that makes total sense. Definitely. All right. Well, and is there anything else that you would want to say, because you will be with this communicating to your realtor community, and I know you had shared with us that that's really important for you, that sense of community among realtors and the real estate professionals. So is there anything that you would want to say to them that we didn't touch on at all yet today?
I would like to say that it works. Give them a try. Give set schedule a try. Be persistent with the people like you do with all of them. Give set schedule an opportunity when you're disappointed. There are going to be times when you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is not the way it was supposed to. Get someone on the phone. Be patient with them, because it's hard to manage everybody at once, and you will get attention. Someone will get in touch with you. They will work with you to make it work because they want us to be successful. Set Schedule wants us realtors to be successful. And if you will give them an opportunity, then they will embrace you as well.
Well, thank you so much, Diane. I really, really appreciate it. I know how busy you are, and particularly Fridays can be a very busy day for realtors. So I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to make yourself available to speak with us. I think this is going to be very helpful for realtors to be able to hear this and get a little insight into how you've managed to be so successful over the time that you've been in business. And so thank you again for giving us your time and your experience and your knowledge.
Thank you as well. I
Thank
hope you
you.
have a wonderful weekend.
I do. I will. Thank you. And you do the same.
Tell your mom I said hi.
Okay, I will. I definitely will. I know I'm going to go. I have to go give her a call too.